Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Candid Convos. And today's guest is Ann Badmus. Ann, thank you for joining us. Ann, can you please, because I know your profile, I've seen you before, but can you please introduce yourself to our audience, let them know who you are and what you do?
Okay, great. Well, yes. Well, I'm Ann Badmus, and I am primarily an immigration attorney. I have worked in immigration for, I would say, 30 years, so quite some bit of time. I started out in corporate law, and then after I decided to start my own practice about 30 years ago, I started doing immigration law as part of my practice areas, and then just really loved it and decided to primarily focus on that about 5 years later when I moved to Texas. So right now I'm located in Dallas, Texas. I actually moved from Delaware, a small state, to a pretty big state. And because of the wide reach of immigration, where I can work for clients anywhere in the country and coming from anywhere in the world, I just felt like that would be one of the best area for me to work in. And like I said, I really loved doing it and still love it to this day, and it's always interesting. So I am primarily an immigration lawyer and have my own practice, although I have worked or have been a partner at larger firms at some point during my career, but decided to come back home about 3 years ago to my own practice and loving it ever since.
Oh, that's wow, that must have been a wild journey. Or I
Yeah.
imagine it's a little bit of a wild journey because you focused, is it fair to say that you focus your entire career on immigration?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much my entire career, except for maybe the first 5 years of my career, but yes. Mhm.
Okay, because I usually get to speak with attorneys that from time to time, like they say, yeah, I was more in, well, not general practice, but the law firm that I was at was a general practice.
Mhm.
So I was a little bit of a jack of all trades. But in your case, it's different. In your case, you've created legacy. So there's been many, many years, and it's been a big trajectory for you. But you did mention you started in corporate, then you worked as a partner before, but you also have your own law firm. I'm
Mhm.
wondering, the business owner or law firm owner mentality, is it something that you always had, or is it something that you developed throughout the years?
I think, well, I started out, like I said, in corporate as an associate with a small, but probably about 15 attorney law firm in Delaware. And it was mainly corporate litigation because Delaware is a big place for that. People like to litigate there, companies like to litigate there. So very different, didn't do anything like immigration or really what I call people law. We didn't really deal a lot with, we dealt with companies pretty much. Okay. And so I liked it for a while, but I guess I just got in my mind that I did want to try to strike out on my own. So I don't know how that came about, or whether it was, thinking. I never thought from the beginning of, graduating from law school that was what I would do, but it ended up what I did. And so I did that actually for 20 some years from that time I left that firm. And then I was kind of wooed away, I guess, from my own practice to be partner at some larger law firms that did not have an immigration section or part. And so I led that section there, kind of moved my whole firm, and had a lot of autonomy, actually, because I was running it like, I had done as a solo practice, since no one else in the firm did immigration, and I was the leader of that section as well. So it was great in that sense. But still being a business owner for 20 some years, it's still not quite the same. And so just having the more of the autonomy in some ways, I just decided I would, come back to that and have a lot more control over not only the immigration part of it, but just more so of the business side, where I thought I might do things a little differently.
Now I'm wondering, for attorneys out there wanting to scale their business, uh, when you started setting up shop, how was that like for you?
Yeah, well, I started out as a solo, of course, and I was pretty much did everything. I was new. I did have a little bit of I guess, cushion in terms of clients, because I had a few clients that I was working with from my previous firm. But I had to really, get out there and get more than those clients, of course, and try to figure out, what was my market. So I pretty much did everything. I did not have any assistants except for maybe a college intern, but that was not really, it wasn't full time, and it certainly wasn't permanent in that sense, but as business started to grow, I learned pretty quickly that I can't do everything and grow, right? I have to let go of some of the things that are a lot of the things that really don't contribute to using my full abilities and full time to, for example, to me as a solo practitioner, I needed to, of course, do the legal work. But I also needed to do some of the marketing or be out there to bring in the work. But if I was doing things like answering phones or, basic intake, things like that, and even some of the other administrative work, that just impeded my ability to grow. So I learned pretty soon to bring on someone, at least some administrative help to at least to start. But then as it grew, I just realized, what? So it was hard because, you're always nervous about, am I going to be able to support another team member? But then I started to bring on actual attorneys and paralegals, and I just kind of grew. At one point, I was actually, during that time that I was a solo practice, I actually grew to about 6 attorneys and had about 15 staff total. So it grew quite a bit. But in retrospect, I think it might have been more than I really needed. And I'm realizing now, with the way things are with technology and the assistance you can get offshore, for example, it has really been what we're doing now in terms of staff. We're right now having about 7 or 8 full-time staff as opposed to 15. We're doing twice as much as what we did that many years ago with having that many staff before. So downsizing, I know it's not the greatest thing to do, but it actually ended up, because of some of the efficiencies of technology, as well as some of the other ways that we can get assistance without hiring, in-house. It really has helped to be more efficient and to be more productive, and really financially do a lot better than when we had a lot more staff.
What's it like working with people that are on-site, hybrid, and offshore at the same time?
Yeah, it's actually been easier than I thought it would be. So I wasn't quite sure, because I had not worked really with anyone offshore until working with Get Staffed Up, and so wasn't sure what to expect, but it really has been a really great experience. One thing that's really important is to integrate your offshore employee, or not employee, assistant with the firm. So definitely introducing her to everyone, explaining the role, having her actually coordinating work a lot with the rest of the team in different aspects. And, we have monthly team meetings and sometimes interim meetings as well. And she's always involved as well. So it's almost, even though she's not physically here and pretty far away, it just feels like she's there here all the time. So it really has been a really great experience. And like I said, because we have so much technology that we can use, whether it's communicate internally or externally, it just kind of flows from there. So I will say, just even on our offices right here, I mean, we're all in our own, desk, things like that, the team who are on site. And so our communications actually is pretty much virtual in that sense too, because we don't always walk up and talk to that person, right? And so we're communicating through our software, things like that. So it's the same way with her, except that I can't walk down the hall, but it's really been, not an issue at all. We also had some other team members, like you said, that were over the years actually remote, but they would come in occasionally, but we had actually had the system set up so that it was pretty easy to have a virtual assistant and other part-time remote workers work with us.
Well, I can't say how thankful I am. And it's been a fantastic conversation. I'm wondering if there's one last piece of thought that you'd like to share, or maybe some advice that you'd like to share for our listeners out there.
Well, I mean, I think to me, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. But what keeps it interesting is you keep learning, you keep growing. And so learning that I can work with offshore team members, that's actually simply amazing. When I started out many years ago, we didn't even have a computer on our desk. Okay. That's how long ago it was. We had secretaries who, typed up from dictation kind of thing. So, but today, to me, I mean, it's just such an exciting time to have so many great tools, so many great opportunities, so many ways to get great team members that, look into every aspect of it, keep growing, keep learning, and just keep evolving in your practice as well.
I'll stay with the exact same thing. Right now, it's a very exciting time to work as an attorney or with attorneys. I 100% agree with you. Yeah. We're in such a different space now. It's like a different reality. Mm-hmm. And now it's a very different and unique world. So thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for sharing your history, Ann. And please, before we go, can you let people know where they can find you and what you can do for them?
Oh, sure. Yeah, certainly. Certainly reach out to me primarily by going to my website. There's a lot of contact information there at www.badmuslaw.com. You can find out more about the different ways that we help clients. So if you have any questions or needs regarding immigration in particular, feel free to reach out to me there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ann, and see you guys in the next episode.